We start with what is AI? That's the first lesson. We'll need to find out what it is. And to begin with, I'm going to give you a small activity to start with. All you need to do is explain what's happening in the following images. So I'll give you a second to think about it, and then we'll go through it. So in the first one is a self-driving car. The second one is a game. The third one is Face ID. The fourth one is from a movie called Iron Man, or it's in Marvel, and it's about AI as well. These are all about AI. And then I'll give you a minute to think of places where you give out information about yourself. You give out information about yourself in all sorts of places. AI does use information about you, which is important to know. So when you use Face ID, it would use your information because it will need your facial features, right? So the objective for today is to understand the origin and uses of AI and know the rules that govern it. Origin just means from where it started. Yeah. So what is AI? AI, or artificial intelligence, refers to the development of computer systems that perform tasks that typically require human intelligence. The main keyword here is human intelligence. These tasks, they include things like learning, problem solving, decision making, and language processing. All of these together are just tasks that humans can usually perform. And if a computer can perform it, then that's AI. Okay, what are the following examples of? What is all of these? These are examples of, I'll let you guess. So WhatsApp, Instagram, all of these are examples of, you've guessed it, it's social media. When you get recommended video posts, what is this based on? So just think about it. So you get recommended posts, right? Now, these posts, they're based off something. Each one is tuned to an individual person. So your posts are going to be different from someone else's. So what are your ones based on? So it's based off what you search. Okay, so it'll be based on your search history. So what is it doing over time? So if it's based on your search history and the more you search, the more information AI gets from you, what is it doing over time? It's learning. So AI learns over time. Remember before we've said AI can do things that humans can usually do? So humans can learn, AI can learn. So it's a machine that learns. Okay, so every year AI becomes faster, smaller, is able to store more data, and is better connected. Now, something to think about. We're not going to go through it here. We can have a discussion maybe. But do you think there will ever come to a point where computers can outperform human brains, not just at one thing, but at everything? Because it does get smarter. We know that. We know it gets faster, and we know it can handle more information. So can it just keep on learning infinitely? Okay. So we know AI learns. That's something we've gathered. Now, what we also know, let's just go through a case study. So here is a fatal accident with a Tesla, and what happened was the driver crashed because the car didn't recognize what happened. So Tesla issued a statement expressing condolences to the family of the driver who was killed and emphasizing that the autopilot system is not fully autonomous. And then it made several updates, including improving its ability to detect objects and adding additional warnings for drivers. So what are self-driving cars an example of AI? Following the incident, what did Tesla do? They made several updates. How will this affect the future of self-driving cars? Think about it. And the answer is they won't make the same mistakes because they keep on learning. So if you learn that something is wrong, they wouldn't do it again unless, of course, that wrong was a smaller mistake than another wrong. So let's say doing this crash instead of like killing someone. Okay, I'm gonna give you a minute and then we'll go through the answers. Just think about this and fill in the blanks. Okay, so the answers are artificial intelligence is a type of technology that teaches computers to do things that normally require human intelligence. So we keep on going back to it. Human intelligence is the key word here. This includes things like problem solving and making decisions. AI works by using data and learning from experience and improves its performance over time. We've gone through the first objective, so understand how it's the origin and uses of AI. We've looked at uses of AI. Right at the start, we've looked at self-driving cars, we looked at social media, we've looked at games. Now, why would you use it? What benefit does this have? Why is a self-driving car useful? Because it can be used to save time, and time is money. So time, it can save time and money. Okay, now we know that AI learns, we know that it's like humans. Let's go on to the next bit. Now there's this thing called classification. It just means sorting into groups. Okay, so here we've got three different shapes: a triangle, circle, and a square. Okay, what characteristics can you think of for the following shapes? What can you think of for a triangle? What characteristics can you think of? Okay, pause the video and then we'll go through it. Okay, so for a triangle, there's three sides, three angles, and for a circle, it's round and it has no right angles, and a square has four right angles and it has four sides. This is always the case. So here, what we're doing is we're identifying patterns. Now, using the information about the characteristics, we can make rules. So triangles, they all have three sides. Squares, they all have four sides. Using these rules, you can sort out any new shapes. So let's say we get a new shape. We get a shape that has four equal sides. What shape do you think it would be? If it has four equal sides with four 90-degree angles, it would be a square. Now, a pattern is just something that repeats. So we keep AI learns by identifying these patterns. So you give it a bunch of data at the start. We'll go through this in the next lesson, but here's just a general intro. So you give it a bunch of shapes, so a bunch of triangles, and then you'll realize it has three sides and it has three angles. We'll learn that. We'll learn that triangles have this similarity. We'll learn that squares have four sides and four angles. We'll learn, and we'll learn over time, just like humans. Okay, since AI learns over time, it can be used, we said, to save time. Here's one of these examples. So when you search on your browser, then it can give you examples based on the search history that you've had previously or the information that most people search for. So here you type in SANF. You get all of these choices. These are based on the AI learn. Now we've looked at classification. Now let's look at how AI learns the difference between a cat and a dog. Remember, we've gone through classification, we've gone through what patterns are, we've gone through how AI learns. So the AI needs to be trained on a data set of labeled images of cats and dogs. Okay, so labeled images just means images that you say that this is a cat. So you tell the AI at the start, this is a cat, this is an image of a cat, this is an image of a cat, this is an image of a dog, right? And you keep throwing it in, and the AI learns and it makes patterns. These images are used to teach the algorithm what features are unique to cats and dogs. The more data that is added, the more AI will learn and the more reliable the results will be. Okay. AI can recognize patterns on its own based on the data it's been trained on. So training data is the things you're putting in. So training data is a set of data that you use to teach AI how to recognize patterns and make predictions. So just take a minute to think. Can you think of any examples where finding patterns can be useful? So I've put in two images here. Maybe you can use them, and then we'll go through it in a minute. Just pause the video and we'll go through it. Okay, so the first one is weather. Here you can see if it had previous data, so we know that December, January, February. It's always cold. Well, most of the time it's cold. AI can learn, hey, there's a pattern here. Every year is cold. And as you keep going on, there's a general pattern, but it's cold. So maybe next year in December, January, February, it's going to be cold. With diseases, with symptoms, it will help with doctors finding out, hey, you have this, and this symptom. Which disease do you have? AI can make things happen a lot faster. Just by entering it into their tablets, they can save a lot of time. Okay, let's go to the next. How does AI know the difference between a cat and a dog? We've talked about patterns, we've talked about characteristics, we've talked about categorization. Now, dog characteristics, these are larger snouts, larger ears. Cat characteristics, these are more rounded facial structure and shorter. Okay, so we'll look at these patterns based on labeled images that you put in right at the start. And those labeled images are an example of training data. Training data is the information you put right at the start. Okay, now you need to know if-then rules. So if-then rules are statements used in AI to make decisions based on a set of conditions. In image recognition, if-then rules can be used to identify specific features or patterns in an image that indicate a particular category. The AI will use this to decide about whether the image contains a cat based on the presence or absence of these features. So what features did we say? We said there's one feature where you can see in this image, and here it's round eyes. Round eyes, if the image has round eyes, and it has pointy ears, and it has whiskers, then it's most likely a cat. But obviously, there are different types of cats, and the more information you put in, the more specific you can get. So whether it'll be a tiger or a cat, you'd need more information for that. But you get the general point where you put in information at the start, it learns from it, and it makes patterns. By using these patterns, it can make rules, and based on those rules, you can categorize information, or you can say, this is this. This is a cat because it has these features. The second objective, understand how rules are used in AI decision making. So we've looked at the if-then rule. We've looked at, hey, these have this characteristic, and that's why it would be a cat. These have, it has a large snout and a large ears that are coming downwards, so it'd be a dog. Classification is a machine learning technique that involves the grouping of data into different classes or categories based on certain characteristics or features. So here we're looking at animals, plants, fungi, bacteria, and protists. These are all different groups based on features. Automation. When you go to your local store, you can see that there's a lot of tasks being replaced by robots that humans used to do previously. So if you go to Tesco, you can see self-scanning machines. Automation is just the use of technology to perform tasks that were previously done by humans. Now, how can it be used against scams and grocery shopping? I'll give you a minute to think. Just pause the video and then I'll say the answer. So for scams, it can be used by identifying patterns. It's all about patterns. Identifying patterns. What characteristics does a scam have? What characteristics so for example, maybe misspellings or the way it's structured. For grocery shopping, if there was a substitution that you needed because an item was out of stock, you can look at similarities between these, categorize the items, and then pick one of these items that are the most similar to it, and then give that item as a substitute. Okay, now I want to leave you with a preliminary and where you need to understand the origin and use cases of AI. So give 3 use cases of AI. Just go through this, understand how rules are used in AI decision making. What rules were covered today? How does it work? Investigate the rules needed to solve problems, including classification. Explain classification. Why is it useful? So just go through these and we'll go through the answers. Okay. So we've looked at Face ID, we've looked at self-driving cars, and we've looked at games. These are all examples of AI. We've looked at if-then rules, statements used in AI to make decisions based on a set of conditions. In image recognition, if-then rules can be used to identify specific features or patterns. It's all about patterns, it's all about learning and it's all about training data. If you can get these 3 or 4 keywords that we've gone through again and again, and you can understand this and you learn from it, you should be able to understand the general parts of AI. It's all about features. AI is all about features. So it starts with this. You put in training data, the information you put in at the start. It learns from this, it will learn patterns. And from the patterns, it can make rules. From the rules, it can categorize new data. Categorizing new data is classification. Classification is a machine learning technique that involves the grouping of data into different classes or categories based on certain characteristics or features. Now, let's just recap. These tasks that we said include problem solving, decision making, and language processing. Next lesson, we will see how AI can be used to recognize patterns and why this is effective. Okay, thank you.